Political protests and an immigration debate sparked between the President of the United States and the Governor of California. In that backdrop, an authoritarian invitee and a group stage match featuring two historic rivals that once went to war. All of this ahead of the 2025 CONCACAF Gold Cup. Welcome to the channel at Glen Duerr, where I, a professor of political science and international relations, look at the intersection of sports, politics, and international relations. I also had a short semi-professional soccer career, and in this video we will look at the 2025 Gold Cup, the 16 teams that are in the tournament, but look at pressing political issues between the teams. Let's look at a brief history, though, before we get started. CONCACAF, the regional or confederational governing body of soccer in North and Central America and the Caribbean, comprises of 41 member associations. Started in 1961, they had initially a tournament involving the CONCACAF champions, but in 1991, this was revamped to create the Gold Cup. And essentially, although there are some complications and irregularities, every 2 years the Gold Cup is held. Mexico is the reigning champion, and they have won on 9 occasions. The United States has won on 7 occasions, and Canada beat Colombia in the year 2000. Otherwise, no other member association has won. The Gold Cup often includes an invitee, sometimes Brazil or the aforementioned Colombia, but in recent cycles, World Cup hosts like Qatar participated in 2021 and 2023. Saudi Arabia, hosting the 2034 FIFA World Cup, is the invitee in the 2025 Gold Cup. Let's take a look at some of the big political issues, in particular the debate surrounding immigration, as the Gold Cup gets started. As the Gold Cup kicks off, what surrounds it is a major political debate in the United States. And of the 14 venues, 13 in the United States, from St. Louis through LA, mainly in the Western United States, as well as one venue in Vancouver, Canada, we've seen protests in the streets of the United States around the topic of immigration. Immigration is a big issue, but it pits President Donald Trump against California Governor Gavin Newsom, as well as LA Mayor Bass. And as such, with the protests on the streets, President Trump has deployed some 2,000 National Guard troops, and then an additional 2,000 National Guard troops, as well as 700 Marines to try and stop the major protests in and around LA, not too far from SoFi Stadium, which is a significant venue for the Gold Cup. Immigration, as it pertains to the current protests, is a significant issue. And there's a lot on the table, but let's break it down a little bit. The left or liberal progressive view is that migrants typically should be allowed to come to the United States, work, and if they have abided by the law, then they should stay. Gavin Newsom and Mayor Bass typically hold this position. On the other side, President Trump has really campaigned against removing all illegal immigrants, people that came to the United States without documentation, and as such has deployed ICE as a means of doing so. The current polling, according to a CBS YouGov poll, suggests that 54% of Americans support President Trump's position, but it is certainly complicated, and President Trump has backtracked a little bit around the issues of farming and the hotel industries as they employ people that are in the country without documentation. There are 2 other major political issues, but let's get into the group stages to see each of the four groups of 4 teams as they participate in the Gold Cup. Let's start with Group A. Group A features 4 teams: Mexico, Costa Rica, Suriname, and the Dominican Republic. And as discussed in the immigration debate, the Mexican flag has become a lightning rod between the two sides. Mexico is expected to advance from the group, and the other powerhouse from CONCACAF, Costa Rica, is also likely to advance. The other two teams, not to put them down, certainly have less opportunity to qualify. Suriname is a fairly small country, and for the Dominican Republic, it's their first time in the Gold Cup, so a significant success for a country that is known best for its baseball. Group B features Canada, Honduras, El Salvador, and Curacao, and could be the group of death, quote unquote, for the CONCACAF Gold Cup. Canada has really done well in recent cycles and actually finished top of the CONCACAF World Cup qualifying for 2022, besting Mexico and the United States. And so Canada has high expectations going into the competition, but there has been a lot of media buzz around whether or not Canada gets fair calls by the officiating staff at CONCACAF competitions. So that will be one to watch. Plus, Canada also won the Gold Cup in the year 2000, surprising the region. If we jump down to Curacao, Curacao is a small island in the Dutch Caribbean, but don't count them out. They punch above their weight, and they've done very well in recent FIFA World Cup qualifying for the 2026 cycle. I do want to take a moment, though, to focus on Honduras and El Salvador, two teams that really have underperformed to some degree. Both teams have struggled to make the World Cup, although Honduras had a good back-to-back cycle, making it in 2006 and 2010. But these two countries actually went to war, believe it or not, over World Cup qualifying for the 1970 FIFA World Cup. In 1969, they played 3 matches, and at the end of that, there was a 100-hour war between the two countries based around the issues of land reform, undocumented immigration, and simply tensions between the two. Thankfully, it hasn't gone on beyond that, but it is a fascinating geopolitical issue that Honduras and El Salvador will be matched up against one another. Group C features 4 teams: Panama, Jamaica, Guatemala, and Guadeloupe, in what will be probably a pretty interesting group. Panama, despite being a fairly small country by population, has really overperformed and done very well, making it to a range of recent FIFA World Cups. I expect them to come in the top 2. Jamaica, despite only making 1 FIFA World Cup in 1998, is expected, in my view, to also advance. The Reggae Boys have done very well in the Gold Cup historically and have even made a number of the finals. Guatemala is an interesting case because I played against them personally at the under-23 level over 20 years ago, and I was very impressed by Guatemala, but they have never seemed to really do well in the regional and global stages. Could this be a time of change? Guatemala will hope to do so. And finally, don't count out Guadeloupe. Guadeloupe is a French possession in the Caribbean, and in the Gold Cup, they tend to perform their best. So an interesting Group C ahead of us. Finally, Group D features the United States, Haiti, Trinidad and Tobago, and Saudi Arabia. If we hop down to Saudi Arabia first, they are the guests in this tournament, the one from outside of the CONCACAF region, and they will want to continue to improve as they host the 2034 FIFA World Cup. President Trump of the United States and Mohammed bin Salman, the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, have a very good working relationship, but it should be noted that there's a lot of controversy around Saudi Arabia participating because it remains a deeply authoritarian country, one that tramples upon the rights of a range of different religious and other minorities. Nevertheless, we should note the improvements that Saudi Arabia has made under MBS, Mohammed bin Salman, and certainly this is an opportunity for Saudi Arabia to continue on the world stage, and maybe in their participation, they will continue to make improvements in their society as well. If we move to Trinidad and Tobago, Trinidad and Tobago is sometimes the thorn in the side of the United States, and it'll be interesting to watch them. In the 2018 FIFA World Cup qualifying cycle, for example, it was actually the inability to beat Trinidad and Tobago that cost the United States a position in Russia in 2018. Haiti is a country that's relatively small, but at the same time has a great soccer pedigree, and I think that they could possibly emerge from this group. But bear in mind, geopolitically, this is a place that has had real struggles. There are an estimated 200 major gangs in the capital, Port-au-Prince. Its economy is the poorest in all of the Western Hemisphere, and there are a range of major challenges for Haiti. But nevertheless, the soccer team does provide a great outlet for the country, and it could provide a boost for the country. Finally, the United States, as noted in the beginning, has won the Gold Cup on 7 occasions and has been very strong. However, the team's performance going into the Gold Cup has been very poor, with major losses to Switzerland and Turkey in particular. Nevertheless, this is a different opportunity for the United States and hosting a significant competition on its soil. We'll see how the immigration protests play out and what that looks like, but the United States will certainly want a great competition and soccer success as well. Thank you for watching the video. Hopefully you found it interesting, and certainly a lot of geopolitical issues ahead of us as we watch the 2025 CONCACAF Gold Cup. Have a great day.